Okay, this is our last video of this series, part 9 in sexuality. We're going to talk about sex education. Now, while we will cover some of the material in your textbook on sex education, which is great information, by the way, I'm not discrediting any of it. I really thought that maybe what we could do is use other means and introduce some other things other than just reading a textbook. So, if you haven't already, I would like you to go back into the module in Canvas. I really want you to read the blog post that's called America's Sex Education, How We're Failing Our Students. It's written by USC Nursing faculty member, and again, it's a blog post, so that makes it sound like an opinion, but the statistics in it are really what I want you to get from it. Now, because the statistics within that blog post are a little dated, they come from between 2013-14 to 2017, I want you to review some new data. And so the data provided in America's Sex Education, it really breaks it down by state. And so what I did was I went and found some state profiles, and the Sexual Information and Education Council of the United States, which is what SIECUS stands for, gives a state profile. I've put it into a PDF that is easier to view. It's a lot of information, but it is broken down into sections. I also would like for you to review the sexual exposure chart that I have put on Canvas as well. It's just kind of for your viewing education. I want you to watch a video that I called A Great Example of Comprehensive Sex Education That Reaches Teens. End it where I ask, or you can continue at your leisure, but I do have a specific end spot. Really what it's about is a young person who has decided to use TikTok as a means of comprehensive sex education. And it started as a high school project. The last one is kind of just of interest. So if the state profiles was really eye-opening to you and you're really curious about digging deep into one specific state, what you can do in the interactive state profiles website is click on a state, and it gives you a full comprehensive view of sex education. We're talking everything from legislation and litigation all the way to it gets broken down by, sometimes it's broken down by school district. It talks about the history. It really, really digs deep. Now, most of this is kind of going to replace our lecture, but again, I don't want to discredit anything in lecture because I think that there's a lot of good information there. So we are going to talk about two specific things from lecture. One of them is comprehensive sex education, because I've already used the phrase, and I think it's important to kind of understand what the difference is between just sex education and comprehensive sex education. So, sex education generally just includes information on contraception, STDs, and pregnancy, which are listed here as well. However, experts now suggest that a comprehensive sex education includes those three things, but additionally includes teaching adolescents how to refuse unwanted sex, how to avoid unintentional sex, how to increase the adolescent's motivation to engage in safer sex practices, and the last one is really trying to change the perceptions, the adolescents' perceptions about what a peer norm is and peer attitudes. Not everybody is having sex. You're not the only one that's not that sort of approach. So when we look at comprehensive sex education, we see that it can and cannot do some things. So what can effective sex education do? Well, it can delay the initiation of sex. It can reduce the adolescent's likelihood of having unsafe sex. And it can educate and change what a teenager might already have known about sex. What it doesn't do is it does not encourage teenagers to have sex, but it also doesn't actually reduce the likelihood of having sex. That is going to happen whether there is a comprehensive sex education or not. So it doesn't necessarily change those behaviors. Okay. Stressing abstinence in sex education. I would like for you to pay special attention when you are reviewing the state profiles PDF about which states stress abstinence, which states cover abstinence, and which ones do not have anything listed about abstinence. This specifically is about abstinence only, so this would be more of like an abstinence stress without any other education. And these programs encourage adolescents to avoid sexual activity, but they don't provide information about safe sex practices. And because of that, we see that it's not really successful because abstinence-only sex education actually can cause an increase in teen pregnancy and childbearing because it's not including the information about safe sex. So if we look at the data from the 2022 CIE-CUS report that I've given you, the state profiles, and we also look at the 2020 data, the CDC data that we talked about earlier, this is what teen pregnancy rate looks like for the top. These are the top 10 states, okay? The 10 states with the highest number of teen pregnancies. This is, again, is ages 15 to 19. And we're going to compare it to the state education, sex education laws. So the top 3 states with the highest rate of teen pregnancy all emphasize abstinence in their sex education programs. This is Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Despite mandating sex ed, which the others do not, Mississippi is the state with the highest rate of teen pregnancies in the country at 27.9 births per 1,000 females ages 15 to 19. All of these 10 states listed emphasize abstinence in their sex education. 5 out of 10 states do not even mandate sex education. States that mandate sex education have a lower average rate of teen pregnancy than those who do not. In fact, it's 14.9 versus 16.7 respectively. And then lastly, states that do not emphasize abstinence have a lower average rate of teen pregnancy than states that emphasize, which we've already talked about. So if abstinence is part of your religion or your culture, I am not trying to take any of that away. Again, I am here to present you with the data. I'm here to present you with the statistics. I'm here to present you with the educational, evidence-based information, and that's what this is. We talked about this in another in another video, but remember that those virginity pledges, the purity rings and stuff like that. Saying that you're going to wait to yourself, having like a self-pledge, is an effective strategy in approaching this. I call it a strategy because that's really just what it is. So if abstinence is your jam, I am not trying to yuck your yum. I just want to present the data on abstinence programming. Also, before I conclude, when you do go into those state profiles, please pay attention to which states do not mandate medically accurate sex education, which just really confuses me. I don't even understand what that means. So that is that, and I'm going to leave it there. This is our last video in the series, and that concludes this video.